Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to the Queen of Web Academy, where coding becomes simple and fun, even on your mobile phone. Today we are diving into one of the most important building blocks in web development, the div tag, and how to style it using the powerful CSS Box model. We'll also build a simple layout with colored sections to practice what you learn. So grab your phone or laptop and let's get started. Firstly, what is div and why is it used? The div tag in HTML stands for division. It is like an invisible box that lets you group elements together on a web page. When you want to think of a div, think of it as a container where you can place text, place images, buttons, anything inside it. It helps you organize and style your content neatly on your website. So this is a typical example of a div. You can see, let's say this is a web page. So let's say this is a web page, and then inside it, you will see everything inside the website actually look like a box. Though if you style some, they are going to take circle shape as all these ones we have here. But basically, every element inside HTML is takes a shape of rectangle. So they take rectangular shape. Every tag in HTML takes rectangular shape. So now, so when you now want to box some element, when you want to put some elements together, then you need a kind of container to arrange your website neatly so that it won't look messed up. Like this one now is a parent div. This is a division. Inside it, there is another division. Inside this div too, I may have like an image and some text, let's say about me. Here, I can have something like our services and a text and probably with a button. Inside this, I can have things that I can have content about our product. So meanwhile, so for that we'll be having like some images and text as well. Are you getting it now? So we use box. So when you now put your elements inside div, so it is easier to style them all together. Like, okay, we have text inside div 2, we have text, we have what is it called? We have buttons, we have images, we have a lot of tags. Inside this one, we have other things too. If we don't put them inside different div, like they don't belong to different containers, it won't be easy to actually group them this way. You may end up having your images clogged together, all your text, and you won't even know which text is a caption to which image. Are you getting it? Having explained that, let's go to what a CSS box model means. Okay, so this is a typical image to explain CSS box model. To style our div elements, we mainly use the CSS box model. You see, both div HTML tag and even the CSS model properties are going to be you are going to be using them oftentimes while creating your website because they are just everywhere, like everywhere you will need them. All right, so but this one has four parts, so let's look at it one after the other. The inner part is the content itself. So whatever you put inside your content, like, okay, you said, let's say you declared a div, and inside that div you put an h1. So that h1 you put inside the div is a content of that div. Now, so when you now have your div, so your content rather, it's going to have a kind of line around it to box it out, to show its box shape, and that line is known as border. Now, the space between the line, the border, and the content is what we know as padding. Okay, to explain to understand it better, let me show you this. You're going to liken this to a picture frame as what I'm showing you here now. So let's say we have all these picture frames on the wall. Look at this biggest one here. This image, the picture inside the frame itself, is what we know as content. That is the content. Now, as a frame, it has this edge, and that is our border. But there is no how, it's not common that there won't be space between your border and your image, though we have some instances like that. But in most cases, there will be space between your border and your content, and that space is padding. Even if it doesn't show, it means the padding is equal to 0. But that does not mean it does not have padding, because somehow there will be, because they are two different things. So the picture that you put inside the frame. So now, this is the content. The space between it and this border is known as padding. Then we have the border to box its own separate space out. Now, the fourth one is this margin. So margin is the space outside the box between other elements. Let's go back to our frame pictures. You will see that when these frames are being arranged, there are some spaces in between them. So all these spaces are known as margin. Let's build a simple layout and see what we are actually talking about. First of all, I want us to create another HTML file for this, and let's probably give it div.html. So first thing inside your HTML is to declare your HTML structure fully, and that is by saying shift 1 then enter. Then let me change this title to div and then CSS Box Model. Okay, so now you can see everything. So now we have this. So as not to forget, let's quickly link our style.css to this HTML file too. So kindly note that you can link one CSS file to a lot of HTML files. The same way, inside one HTML file, you can link more than 2, 3 CSS files, depending on the kind of project you are working on. Okay, so link, then style.css. Now let's declare our div inside body, and then probably let's give it okay. So now this is not going to be visible on our web page. Let's try to view it. So we just you know that we have typed something inside our CSS style before. We have declared body background, and because this new HTML file too has a body, so of course it's going to carry that style forward here. Okay, so it's not showing like we have anything on the web page because it is like invisible container. All right, until we style it. So let's go to CSS now and then call our div. Let me first give it width and height. So to declare it, I want to give it 200 pixel. It's not showing yet too. Why? Because we don't because it's not going to be visible, it is invisible. The only thing that can make it visible now is, let's say I give it a background color. That is when you're going to know, oh, we have this here. But let me first start with the background color. Background color of let's say this. So now with our width and our height, so it is now going to show. Can you see that? So it is now showing our div. If we had not created all of this, you're not going to know that you have anything on this web page. So having done that now, so let's use this opportunity to learn our padding, border, and then margin. So this is just a box. Where is our padding? Okay, before we do that, let's quickly, you can right click on your web page and then come to inspect. That is, we call it developer tools, to see what is actually happening inside your web page. So here now we have this div. Are you getting now with a background of this? Let's go back and add our padding margin so that it can show on our web tool. So now that we give it a padding of 20 pixels, we are actually telling it that it should create a 20 pixel space between the border and the main content. Are you getting it now? So it should create a 20 pixel space between this border and the content, as you can see on the board now. So let's go and declare margin. And then let me say 20 pixel as well. Then by the time you come here, you're going to see. So we have this blue as the content space. This place, the what color should I call it? Is it's telling us about the padding, and the line, the tiny line. Let me quickly declare border too so that you can see that very well. So I'm going to give my border, let's say 5 pixel for it to be obvious. Ideally, we use like 2 pixel or 1 pixel depending on what you want to create. So, but for it to be very visible due to lesson, so I'm going to give it 5 pixel. Then solid. I want it to be a solid line. Can you see that now? I can make it dotted as well. So can you see that? I can make it dashed. So you can style your border as you want. So, but let's make it solid. Solid, then what color do I want to give it? I can decide to give it a red color. Then it's going to change to red immediately. Okay, so this is giving us a clear image now. We have the content here. This is our border, that is the red color. Then between the border and the content, there is another space, and that is the padding. Then outside the border, there's another space, and that is our margin. So you see, this code makes the div easier to see and give it breathing room. Like, you're going to know that, okay, this is what I'm doing inside the space. Okay, so let's build a simple layout using div tags. Let's go to our HTML. Then, okay, so this is our div, and I'm going to give it a class name of let me say, okay, I want to make this a header that should look like a header on our website. Then I will name it header. Then let me give this one main, so like main content. Then the last one, let me give it footer. So you know that we have already styled, we have style for our div. So all these divs now just take on the style. But this time around, I want to style using this these class names instead of just using the general div. I want to start using the class name now. Let me start with the class name of header. Let me see, I want to give it a background color of light blue. Okay, You see, it's changing immediately. So a class name will override the general name div because you are being specific now that this is the class name I'm styling, not the whole div. Then I want to give it a padding of 20 pixel. Okay. Yeah. Then text align center. So I'm going to remove the previous styling for this div because of the width and height and all of that I added. Since I didn't declare it inside this header, it's going to take all those properties here. But it is only those ones that I declare here that will override this one. I hope you are getting the gist. So let me just comment this out. So in CSS, we can comment out too by adding forward slash asterisk and then by adding the comment by asterisk and forward slash. So if I remove this asterisk and forward slash, so it will comment out everything I have on the web page. But immediately, if I want it to stop here so that I can show all that thing I'm writing, then I'm going to put the asterisk then forward slash. All right, so let's continue. That is our header. So let's go to the main body. So to style class, you use dot and then the name of that class. Don't worry, you're still going to learn that very well. So we are just using this to learn. So, but if it is ID, we give it, you're going to declare that in your CSS using your hash. So I want to give this background color of light green. Then I will need to give it padding, and then this is the main body. Um, let's go to footer. I'm still coming back to this main body so that it's going to occupy more space than this, maybe by declaring height for it. Okay, so footer, and then this. So let me give it a background color of light coral. Light coral, then padding 20 pixel. Then text align center. So we have text align center for both head and footer. So for our main body, we can actually declare height for it. Okay. So we have our main content occupying like 5 pixel height, then the other one being a footer, we have it at the bottom, then this is the main body, and then we have header here. So inside our main body, we can as well put other, that is the essence of div. We can as well put other boxes. So I can just bring it down, then declare another div inside it. So and then let me bring in an image. Let me bring in an image. So I'm going to remove this. It's not necessary. So I'm going to remove this. Then probably let me use a paragraph here and said this is the main content. Now, so when after having this image, then I can add having this p paragraph, then I can add image to it. Let me adjust this very well. So by declaring image, and then the source should be images slash this the MacBook. Mhm. So we have this now, and we can have many more like that. So let me add another image. What is the other image that I have there? Yeah, office setup.jpg. Okay, so we have this now. So we can just go to our CSS and then style this image too by calling img. So img, and then we can say display. So when we say display block, so it's going to bring all the images to separate lines. Then I can as well add margin to them so that they can have space between themselves. So this space, so now that brings me to the next thing we need to learn. As you can see the suggestions now, we have margin top, margin bottom, margin left, margin right. You see, we have the same thing for padding, we have the same thing for border. So when you declare a margin top, so it's going to give your image just a margin at the top. When you give it a margin bottom, it's going to give it at the bottom. When you give it left, it's going to give it at the left side and at the right side. But if you just declare it one, like when you say margin and then you say 10 pixel, you are telling it to give all the spaces, the top, the right, the bottom, and the left. You are trying to get it to give it 10 pixel round. So the same thing happened to padding. But in some cases, like immediately I declare this 10 pixel now, it moved the images inside. But let's say I don't want that. Let's say I only want to give it a margin at the top or at the bottom or anything at all. So I can just say margin top by coming here, and I will add top to it. And that way it will move back and only give it margin at the top. This one margin and this one to margin at the top. Then another thing you need to know is even with just margin, you can declare the one you want for the top right. So instead of repeating, let's say you want to give all of them different margin sizes. So instead of repeating margin top, margin right, margin bottom, and margin left, you can just declare everything using this margin by declaring that their values separately. So 10 pixel, 20 pixel. No, I want this one to be 20. This is the top. So it starts with the top. So I want to give it 20 pixel. Then to the right. So I want to give the right 0 pixel. It does not need pixel because there is nothing beside it at the right. Okay, bottom. So this one now, this image has 20 pixel at the top. Okay, when I leave it as two values like this, two values means 20 pixel for both top and bottom and 0 for both left and right. That is what it means now. But immediately I had one more value. Then this is saying 20 pixel for the top, this 0 pixel for left and right, then 10 pixel for bottom. Immediately I had more now. This is going to the left side. The fourth one will be for the left side. When it is 3, the middle value goes for both right and the left. When it is 2, the first value go for the top and the bottom, and the second value goes for the right and the left. But immediately you make it 3, I've explained that. Then when it is 4, this first one will be for top, the second one will be for the right, the third one will be for the bottom, and the The fourth one rather will be for the left. So I want to make it very visible now. I'm going to make this 50 pixel and see how much it will push the image inside. Can you see that? So that is what it means. But in case I want the same for both right and left, so I just, and the same thing for both top and bottom, so I'll just make it 10. So for everything is going to be one value, which is like this 50 pixel. But immediately, let me change this to like 30. Does it make more sense here? Then I want the left and the right to not have any pixel at all. Then I'm going to put 0. Then you're going to take it back and just give me for both top and bottom. Um, then someone will want to ask, this one has 30 pixel bottom here. This one too has 30 pixel top. Then this place should be bigger or like twice of the size of this place. No. Once it is, this one has margin of the same size as this, they are going to maintain that 30 pixel. But if this one has 30 pixel as the bottom and this one has 20 pixel as the top, it's going to take the larger size. So that is how it works, darling. You see, now it is your turn. Try creating a kind of layout. Let me show you what our layout looks like now. Let me clear this off. So here is what we have, like a live website. Does it look like that? Yeah, so we have a header, and on your header you usually have menu like homepage, services, content, and all of that. Then we have your main body, main content, which is the body. Then you have your footer. Usually at the footer we have the copyright, disclaimer, we have your social media and your content and all. That is it for today's tutorial. You have learned how to use Div, you have understood the CSS box model and build a basic layout. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the Queen of Web Academy and share with someone who wants to learn coding the easy way. And tell me in the comments, what layout are you going to build next? Which of these layouts do you like most? So keep building, keep learning, and stay awesome. Assalama.